Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of This Week in Photo. This week, we're talking about travel.
This is TWiP.
All right, folks, welcome back to another episode. I am here with two of my good friends, Mr. Giulio Sciorio, Mr. Jeff Cable. They're here to reveal some of the interesting things behind how they are able to traverse the planet, sometimes with only one bag. Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing great.
Howdy.
Howdy, howdy. This is going to be an interesting show because I know, and I do these shows from time to time because things change over time, and I know we're kind of, all of us are in a constant state of, sort of refining our travel pack, and, different size computers require different size bags and all that stuff. So we're going to cover each of your flows in this episode of TWiP. Before we do that, let's do a quick touch base. Jeff Cable, you were just on last week. Give me what's happened between last week and this week that you want to share with us.
Actually, let's see, I've shot a bunch of events, and I did a corporate job today with some politicians. That was fun.
Yeah.
But I have not traveled this week.
Not this week? Come on, man. No, why are you on the show then?
I've been at home for, I think, 7 days straight. My wife is ready to kick me out now.
Well, welcome, man. We have a lot to chat about. And the other voice you heard with Giulio Sciorio, small camera, big picture fame, the man with no opinions on anything. Giulio, what's going on, man?
How's it going, man?
It's going good. What you got going on this week? How is your group coaching thing going? I know I've been hearing good things.
Going really good, man. It's I'm really happy with the community we got going on. We got some exclusive content in there, and it's just building. I'm in it for the long game, man. It's cool, and it's a great place for people to come that are just tired of being manipulated by social media.
Oh, interesting. That's kind of why I built TWiP PRO, kind of the same kind of feel. I have a feeling we're going to see lots of little movements like that around the internet over the next couple of years or so. I have a little bit of news that I want to share with you guys before we dive into this thing. I want to thank we have a brand new sponsor on This Week in Photo, and that's our friends over at Bay Photo down in Santa Cruz, California.
Great place.
You know those guys, right? Yeah, so they're now sponsoring This Week in Photo. And I want to give an official, heartfelt thank you to them for helping us keep my ring light on here. And then if you head over to TWiP.pro/bayphoto, that's TWiP.pro/bayphoto, they will knock 25% off your first order on all new accounts. So get over there, get a metal print, get some wall assemblies, get all that kind of stuff, or just check out bayphoto.com or TWiP.pro/bayphoto so we can count you. And thank you, Bayphoto, for supporting the show. All right, guys, let's move on. So travel tips for photographers. We got a lot to talk about looking at the notes here. You guys put some awesome things to chat about in here. Jeff, I want to start with you. So you, in the last show that you came on, we kind of alluded to the fact that you go to the Olympics a lot, and and when you go, you told me some stuff behind the scenes about the accommodations, and you're not exactly staying in palatial kind of accommodations out there. So you have to pack. Like last time we spoke offline, you were actually leaving, I think, the next day, and you had your stuff out getting ready to put it in bags. Tell us how that process goes, the mindset when I'm going to a foreign country for a long time and I need to be able to capture anything that's thrown at me. What do you do first?
Well, the Olympics is different, right? What's strange about that is that the Olympics is all about 9 in the morning till 3 in the morning. You're just shooting and editing the whole time. So you have to think about the equipment you're bringing, the backup of everything. So like camera equipment, I don't have to bring many big lenses because Canon CPS is there, and I'm very lucky in that they supply me with all of the lenses I want, pretty much all the big lenses.
What does that mean for the people that don't know what that Canon service brings? What does that mean? You don't have to bring everything, you could just rent it?
No, I mean, you only rent. They loan it for free. So one of the cool things about going to the Olympics is you have credentials, which I have somewhere around here, and it has a well, they used to have a barcode. Now they have an RFID. So you literally just walk up and they you tap it, and you say, today I'd like to borrow a 600 f4 and a 400 2.8. And they go, here you go. And you have that for 24 hours to go ahead and use. And for me, because I'm sponsored by Canon and work with them quite a bit, I don't have to return it every 24 hours. So they actually let me use. So like, for instance, this lens, the 200 to 400, which, I just is my little walk around lens when I'm walking around town. This is not the kind of thing that you want to travel with if you can avoid it. Yeah. So I always have that lens, and help, I'm getting caught in it. I have that lens waiting for me at the Olympics, and then generally have a couple. In the case of in Korea, I had two 1DX Mark IIs that were there as well waiting for me. So all I brought was a 5D Mark IV, and the biggest lens I brought was like a 70-200 or 100 400 and those type of lenses. That's so awesome. It's a little bit different. But I will tell you that before I went to my first Olympics, way back in 08 in Beijing and then Vancouver, I didn't sleep for like a month thinking like, what do I bring? What if I bring the wrong thing? Mm-hmm. And so now I know that Canon so CPS, a lot of people belong to CPS, and like I said, other people can borrow whatever they want on a daily basis, which is awesome. So if something does break, they will repair it right there on the spot. They have a huge group of technicians that are in the back room, and like I actually dropped a lens there and broke it, and they've had it repaired the next day, and they
at no charge. They just
no charge.
Just do it.
It's all free.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're amazing. So like one of the things as an Olympic photographer that we rely on is who can support you. So only Canon and Nikon are the only two that have been at the Olympics for as far as as long as I've ever done it. Mm-hmm. Sony right now is not there. They may be, who knows if they'll make it in the future, depending on how many people are shooting with their cameras. But Canon's been awesome, and I can rely on that. And it's funny because when I travel to the Olympics, the one thing I'm most worried about is my MacBook Pro. Yeah. Because depending on where I am, there may not be an Apple store. Now, my Canon equipment I can get serviced or replaced or loaned right there on the spot. My computer, if I lose it, it gets stolen. That's a whole different ballgame. So one of the things I do is I have an SSD. This is a 512 gig solid state drive. Yeah. See, it has this HD clone on it. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
That is a clone of my SSD on my laptop. So I clone it right before I go to the Olympics in case someone steals my laptop. I keep this in a separate place, and then I can always go buy a new MacBook Pro if I had to, and then I'll just image it back.
Wow. See, I've never heard that. I've heard of people, backing images up and making multiple copies of files, but you take it a step further and mirror your entire hard drive, operating system, any little bits and baubles you have onto that little SSD, and that's your get out of jail free card, right?
It is. I mean, because the thing is, like, if someone steals your laptop, okay, fine, you can buy a new one, but then you still have to worry about, loading all the software and all the other stuff. So it's nice to know that I can just kind of re-image the drive. And so it is the only time I do that, though. I don't take that clone when I go to Africa or Costa Rica or Europe or whatever. It's really just the Olympics that I do that. But it is like I said, it's the one thing that I kind of worry about more than even the camera equipment. All right. But of course, when you're in Tanzania, you don't have CPS there.
Right. Well, we're going to get into that. I want to explore that a little bit. And I also want to explore I want to get down to some actionable nuts and bolts stuff. Like, even down to the detail of, do you fold your clothes or roll it up? Those, those kind of things. I've been watching all these. It is a thing. I've been watching all these YouTube videos, from people that claim to have all the answers about how to travel correctly. Some people say roll things up. Some people say take a few items and wash them while you're on the road. Some people say use little bags and put everything in separate little bags inside your luggage.
We have all those tricks. I can tell you.
All those tricks. Like what's right, Giulio Sciorio. Giulio, from your standpoint, when you've traveled a lot, right? So what's your night before the adventure, the night before battle? What does that look like for Giulio Sciorio?
It's like a touch of insanity and self-doubt.
Well, that's called being an adult.
I have everything packed, and it's just like perfect. And then I'm like, damn, maybe I brought the wrong camera bag. Then I'll go get this camera bag, and I start moving things over, and I'm like, no, don't do it. And I sort of go to sleep, and then I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, where's that freaking dongle? It's that one dongle that plugs into the other dongle, and then I'm just, it's that kind of thing. My last trip, I said, you know what? It was a personal trip. I'm like, I'm not even bringing a camera. And then, like, as I'm falling asleep, I was like, no, I need a camera. So I ordered one. I didn't want to actually pack what I have, so I'm like, I'll just order a camera and have it delivered by Amazon.
Yeah, you see, that's the night before stuff, and I did an interview with Darlene Hildebrand, and we were talking about this going pro and travel and that sort of thing. And one of the things that came up is part of my anxiety comes from being ex-military and having the requirement to be able to cover anything that's thrown at you, but still travel light, right? So, but you know, at a certain point, especially when you're like decades younger, you're like, I'm just taking everything, man. I don't care. You know, I'm not getting stuck without that wide angle lens if I need that wide angle lens. So how do you guys handle that? Like, Jeff, I mean, you're not traveling with CPS around with you, but right. If you go on a trip where there's no CPS services available, yet it is mission critical that you come back with the images. I've seen your portfolio. I mean, what do you do?
Well, and what's interesting is it also depends on where you're going. If you're going to, Sydney, Australia, well, you could buy equipment there. God forbid it gets stolen, right? If you go to Tanzania, you are out in the sticks, and so there's nowhere to get even a camera battery. So it definitely puts more pressure on you. And I was glad to hear Giulio say that he loses sleep, because God knows I've lost a lot. I've done the same thing that he's done, which is like, okay, this is what I'm going to go with. And then you wake up 3 in the morning going, no, wrong lens. I got to switch and take the, and we drive ourselves crazy with it. Because the fact of the matter, and I tell people that go on our workshops with me, I tell them, I say, if you pack too much, you'll regret it. And if you pack too little, you'll regret it. And so it's really hard to hit that sweet spot, because both in clothing and in camera equipment, because, it is true that, if you don't bring a wide angle lens and all of a sudden you're, with a bunch of real amazing landscapes, and you think, oh, God, I could have used that 16 to 35. Or inversely, I have a friend who is going to Africa, and they're like, no, I don't think I would take the 100 or 400. And I'm like, you're crazy. You got to take the 100 or 400 because you're going to see wildlife. No, I don't think we're going to see much wildlife. I said, bring it. Well, they brought it, and thank God they brought it. So it's part of it is, you bring it back up. You don't go on a trip to Africa with one camera body. You always bring 2. And the good thing is Canon does support my workshop. So anybody who goes with me on any of my trips can get any equipment they want from Canon for free on loan, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I tell them, if you have a 5D Mark III, you want to try a 5D Mark IV, tell them you want a 5D Mark IV, and if you don't have a long lens, borrow 100 or 400 or whatever. And so you want to have, a long, a wide. And of course, the other thing is, if you're in somewhere really dusty like Tanzania, you don't want to be switching lenses. So because you're going to get dust in your sensor. So I tell people, you're going to have 2 cameras, 1 wide, 1 long, try to keep those lenses on the camera.
Yeah. So with Giulio, if you think about it from that standpoint of, okay, I want to, like we were saying, I want to be able to make sure I'm able to cover everything from landscapes down to portraits, street, whatever. Hey, I may be able to see the Milky Way out there. I might want to do some astrophotography, right? And then, from other people like Valerie Jardin, I hear she's of the school that, hey, I'm bringing my Fuji X100, insert current letter, and that's all I'm bringing, and I'm happy with it. And if I miss a shot, I miss a shot. I'll come back. Where do you fall in that? Like where do you fall in the preparedness versus actually enjoying the trip because you didn't bring the kitchen sink? And that's an X100F right there.
Yeah, I'm with her. It really depends on how you shoot, though. So if you know what you like to photograph, then you pack for that. It's just like producing a shoot locally. If you know that you got to get a certain type of shot, you plan accordingly for that shot. If you're traveling, you may think ahead of time, well, this is the kind of stuff that I like to shoot. It's not really, I don't think for me, when I travel, it's necessarily a time for me to experiment with a different style of photography or a different genre. So I'm like, all right, well, I like to travel light, and I like to work in a constraint of 1 or 2 lenses. So that's what I take. And if I see something really cool and I know it's just not going to work out photographically, I allow myself to enjoy it in the present, and just that's it,
Yeah, I think part of it is mindset around going. And this is me speaking about me, right? I can't speak for anyone else, but when I'm going to a new place, like if, for example, like the last international quote, and this wasn't really international, but the last far trip I went on was Puerto Rico. And like I had that whole night before anxiety thing, you know, plus we were doing podcasting down there. So there's that whole layer of audio gear that, you know, and video gear that you bring. And I brought a drone, right? So, you know, there's the mindset of do I need to be prepared for this, or can I take solace in the fact that this little patch of land that I'm going to is probably going to be there 100 years from now? I could probably go back again. I don't have to make sure I'm able to capture everything on one trip. Jeff, what do you think about that?
Here's the problem with that. I mean, we've all been in a situation where there was an amazing shot, and you know, yes, the place will be there, but that scene may not be there, that person may not be there, that light may not be there. And, you know, we've all had that instance where we see something amazing and it's like, oh my gosh, I got to shoot this. Mm-hmm. And for some reason or another, you can't. And it kind of, you know, kills you, right? So, you know, it's funny when Giulio says, oh, I'm not going to bring the camera. Like, I have to bring the camera because, you know, even though I agree with him that there are times when, and there's times in Africa where I'll tell the Photoshop attendees, you know, the tour group, hey guys, we've shot you know, whatever, we shot, you know, 700 images of this lion. Put the cameras down for a minute and let's just watch this, you know, this pack of lions or whatever it is that we're, you know, or elephants or whatever it might be. Yeah. And it's like, there's something to be said for that too. But I'm one of those people where if I see something amazing, that camera's up, you know, immediately because I want to capture it. And some people go on vacation and they want to come back with a T-shirt or they want to come back with a mug. I want to come back with a great image.
Or a great series of images, right?
Or a great series of images. And, you know, for a long time when I worked in the corporate world, I'd bring a tripod with me everywhere because as soon as my business meetings are over, I'd be out, you know, I used to, you know, go eat dinner and then hang out in the hotel room and watch TV. And then when I started getting into photography, I'm like, wait a second, there's some really great night photography to be had out there. So I take the tripod and I go out and shoot.
But see, that's the crux of what I'm trying to get at. And I don't know if there's a right answer to this or a wrong answer or any answer. But the idea that I'm trying to switch my brain into, you know, the mindset of, you know what, I want to go to Iceland, right? So why don't I research people that have gone to Iceland, look at images that, you know, and locations that those people recommend, and go, you know, sort of check it out virtually and plan my route out, be a nerd, put pins in the map and all that. So I kind of have a shot list of what I want to do. I want to get some blue icebergs. I want to get some street shots of, you know, Reykjavik or whatever, you know. So once I have those shots, I know I have what I need. But what I'm trying to train my brain as, and Julie, I wanted you to chime in on this, is maybe it's completely insane, but what I'm trying to train my brain on is, should I plan, like Jeff's saying, should I plan that, hey, you don't want to be that guy that, you know, you're missing your telephoto lens when the Alpha Centurions land in the field across from your rental car, right? So you want to be prepared to get the Alpha Centurions. Or do I say, you know what, I can come back to Reykjavik, you know, at a future time, and I'll make another shot list that's going to have white horses in it and all this other stuff. I don't have to pack everything into one trip, which thereby kind of deflates my camera bag and my gear list. Julia, what do you say about that?
You know, when we're traveling and we look up photos that have been taken, it's all been done, and it's been done by others very well. Not saying that we can't get a better picture or a different picture, but it's already been done. So it really depends on your goals. Like when I travel, I like to go light and really kind of mix spending time with the local culture, engaging with people, being a part of that, and disconnecting as much as I can from social media, from smartphone notifications. So, well, at the same time, is the whole reason I switched to mirrorless back in 2010, I think it was because I didn't want to carry a ton of stuff anymore.
Yeah.
My work was never landscape work as far as or wildlife, my bread and butter work. So I didn't feel like if I was missing a shot that I was losing money. So when I go on vacation, I want to chill. Like I'll get maybe a shot of the sunset, but then I want to get some time with my family and my friends and have a glass of wine or a beer, and I just want to like be easy for a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know, that's for me what I want to do. And I don't want to deal with customs and be like, here's my manifest, and then, you know, maybe I'm on the beach and then all my gear's in a hotel and I'm back in my head. I'm like, damn, if it gets ganked, what do I got to do and all that. And so look at this. So you go to a concert. You go to a concert. Who's actually watching the concert and enjoying the music truly, or everyone else is like looking through this?
Yeah.
Look, you're looking through this. You're not really present. That memory is a virtual memory, although you're physically there, you're mentally not there. So I think that we really need to have a balance of that when we're traveling. Also, you have to think about depending on where you're at, the level of compassion and respect you should have for the local people, the wildlife, and all that. We got to, I think, be considerate of that too.
Yeah. You don't want to be. I mean, you guys have all seen those caricature pictures of the stereotypical photographer with every piece of gear known to man, and they're schlepping it around, And I've seen people like that at workshops, to be honest with you, that are not quite that extreme, but I've seen people that have got, their belts on with cameras clipped on either side, a backpack full of stuff, and a roller bag, and a Scotty vest, all this stuff, and then, but the work doesn't necessarily, not in all cases, but in many cases, the work doesn't match the bank account. Right. So, I've seen other photographers that have been on the show that are Luddites for the most part. Like Valerie's one of them, right? Valerie's an amazing photographer, but only shoots with her Fuji X100F now. And she couldn't care less about the latest OS or what Apple announced today or whatever, right? But she's still making fantastic work versus, Joe Bob over here that has unlimited income and can buy any lens and has purchased any lens, but created this much work. So, Jeff, what do you like? Where's the middle ground in there? And then here's a curveball for you, Jeff. Here's a curveball. Yeah. So, iPhones. Apple announced new iPhones today. The cameras in smartphones across the board are getting better every couple months, better and better and better. And we're only in 2018 right now. Right. Who knows what 2019 and 2020 are going to bring? How does having a highly capable supercomputer with advanced imaging and computational photography in your back pocket, how does that affect your loadout?
Well, there's times, Julia said, sometimes you don't want to be burdened with the photography. And there are times when, it used to be that I would get invited to all these parties, right? And, like, why are we going to that party? We don't know them that well. And then they're like, oh, hey, can Jeff bring his camera? And I was like, oh, that's why I'm going to the party. And so, and it used to be when I was first into photography, like, okay, I'll go shoot a party. That'd be fun. And I think it's the point where it's like, I've been doing this, for the last 4.5 days. And this is my day off and I want to go to a party and I just want to be part of the party. I don't want to, be working. And so, and there's times when I'll go somewhere. I went somewhere with my wife a week or two ago and I didn't even bring my camera. I brought my phone. And it's like, you know what? I'm okay with that because we're not going anywhere where it's like we weren't going to Yosemite, right? And we weren't going to Iceland. We were just going away for the day or whatever. And it's like sometimes I'll throw one in the trunk if I think that I may want to go photograph something. But it was nice actually just to take the phone and the camera on the phone is good enough that if I need to take like a nice landscape or something, it works well. But at the same time, and it's funny because I've been around those people that you talk about who have the 500, the 600, the 400, all these lenses, and, and Canon and Nikon and Sony and Olympus, all those companies love those guys because the photographers aren't the ones spending the money. It's the doctor, the dentist, the lawyer. It's all these guys that they make real money, and they're not the lowly photographers that we are. But the equipment does not make the photographer. At the same time, it does help sometimes to have good equipment. But, I mean, even though I've got the 200 or 400 right here, I don't take it on all my trips because it's just too darn big. And the other thing is when I'm teaching, like when I was in Costa Rica a couple weeks ago, I didn't want to bring that lens because no one else had that lens. So it's kind of hard to teach with a giant lens when no one else has it. And so, but the 100 to 400 that Canon makes, which is a third the size of this thing, or not quite, maybe half the size, and it's a great lens, super sharp, and works well. So I actually pare down a little bit, and I'm actually not one of those photographers who ever has two cameras on me. And I mean literally when I shoot a wedding, a bar mitzvah, a corporate event like I did today, one camera on me, and if I need to switch, I'll run and grab the other camera with a wide lens or whatever. I don't like being that guy that's weighted down. Because I find that it's a little too daunting, and both my chiropractor and the person who does my massage therapist look at me like you really should not be doing that.
Like, what do you do for a living, sir? You ever heard that?
Well, when they look at you like, yeah, when your back's all wrenched, plus I play ice hockey, so I'm like doubly, messing myself up.
Jeez, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I want to change topics a little bit and get down to sort of like nuts and bolts of how people can prepare to travel, right? So what I've been learning in preparation for this show was most of the experienced travelers out there, you won't see them checking bags. They have a roller bag and a backpack of some sort, or some sort of sling bag or something, maybe a third bag, if you're able to carry a purse, right? So, and that's it. And they put the bag in the overhead. The roller bag goes in the overhead, the other bag with the camera and computer and the seat in front of you, and you have everything you need for an extended period of time. Giulio, how do you do that? Because, like, we go back to that loadout night, right? Loadout night where we're trying to get your brain around, okay, we're going to go out to dinner, so I should bring this shirt, and, we may go swimming. I need some swim trunks. And, when you're in that mode, how do you get all that stuff, including the gear and batteries and all that stuff, into just those 2 bags? What does Giulio Sciorio do?
Well, I shoot with mirrorless, so that has made a big difference. And I'm going to say like real mirrorless, not like these new full frame mirrorless cameras that have a tiny body and a 3-pound lens.
Oh. We're gonna do a whole show about that. By the way, Giulio and I were trading text messages earlier today, and Giulio has some opinions on the latest releases from some of our friends in the manual.
But when you're packing your clothes, it's like, well, I have a blue and a white button-down linen shirt that I could pair with a pair of pants if I need to and go out. If I'm gonna bring it depends. If it's a trip where I may go out to a nice dinner, I may bring a pair of Converse so I can wear that. And those, if you wear those with jeans and a button-down, it's kind of, your looks elevated. Yeah. But I wear black and I wear some white shirts, and I bring a couple flannel or linen button downs. I'll bring a pair of sandals and a pair of sneakers that can get wet and dry quickly. Yeah. And I just go real light. And then, a lot of this has to do with being a new dad. I mean, my son's 2 years old, so my Tenba DNA 15 Slim, which is just a baller camera bag, has become a baller diaper bag, and. I have to think about, okay. That's
called, you just summed up middle age right there, man. Using those words in a sentence, baller and diaper bag. the next nail in your coffin is minivan, my friend.
Dude, it's great. I got like the, his little bottle back there. Mine, this guy in the front. I've got his snacks in there, butt wipes. I have my own wipes now that I've been buying because I'm like, hey, there's got to be wipes for adults, and there are, and I'll show them to you later. But
oh yeah, there are.
Then I have my camera in there, so I got him on my hand, a shoulder bag, and then when I want to shoot, I'm shooting like this.
Yeah. And what's fun? Diaper in the other hand? Is that what you're saying?
No. I send that to the place that we forget.
Giulio, you visit. They make adult wipes, right? But they also make adult diapers just in case. And a slight aside, photographer's tip. I was talking to some of the press corps a couple of years ago at the White House, and they were saying, you have to queue up at a certain time to go into the press briefings and all that, and they have to stay in line for a long time. Normally, they usually don't know how long they have to be there. If you get out of line, you lose your place. The secret to standing in long lines when you can't move, the diaper.
So this is the reason why you do not become a White House press photographer,
among others.
Yeah,
right?
Like seriously, like there's no job I want that puts me in diapers.
Yeah,
Sorry.
That you got to sit there and just
deal breaker.
What are you doing over there, Cable? Leave me alone for a minute, man. I'm enjoying my moment of zen.
Yeah. It's funny though. I actually do what you say. I pack one camera bag. So I have the Think Tank. I used to use the Think Tank Streetwalker hard drive bag, and now they make one that's a roller, which is a godsend because I can, when I'm going through airports and anywhere I can roll it, I roll it instead of wearing it, which helps my back. Yeah. I take that, but then when I get on an airplane, people don't like it when you get on an airplane with 2 rollers. So I'll throw it on my back for like 2 minutes when we get on a plane, and then I zip it back up and turn it into a roller when I get off the plane. But and then the other bag is the clothes. And other than the Olympics, where I have to take, a roller and a backpack and luggage where I'll check it.
Well,
But
Jeff,
90, most of the time I won't check anything. And even like 5 weeks in Africa. So I just came back from Namibia and Botswana and South Africa. 5 weeks. There's a brand called Ex Officio. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I'm wearing them right now.
There you go. Me too. They're amazing because literally I actually take a bag of dry detergent. So we have one box of like Cheer or Tide or whatever it is. And I tell my wife, don't use that for our regular laundry here because I want to use it for travel because it's powdered stuff. And I just throw that in a Ziploc. And like Costa Rica, every night I get back and you sweat your brains out. You take that shirt, you wash it in the sink, and then when you jump in the shower, you take the shower with you, rinse it off and hang it. And with those products, they're dry within like, you had lunch or dinner, and you come back and they're dry already.
Yeah.
So, underwear and shirts like that, it's a godsend because literally I'll bring to Africa 4 shirts or 5 shirts, 2 pair of shorts or 3 pair of shorts, maybe 2 pair of shorts, and then a long pair of pants which have the unzipping of the legs to make them shorts. And man, that and 5 pair of underwear and 4 pair of socks and you're golden.
And you're good to
I
go.
do bring the best underwear.
No hair product. I'm good.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, that's really interesting because that the way my brain would work with a 5-day trip or a 3-day trip or whatever is, okay, let's look at the days. So day 1 is travel, so I'm good there. Day 2, I need transit clothes and then night clothes. Day 3, transit clothes and then night clothes. Day 4, same thing. And then just in case something happens, what if some car rides by and splashes you with mud? So I need backup clothes and then the swim trunks and then underwear, at least 2 pair for every day because you never know.
You're more
right?
stylish, obviously, than I am because I really don't care. Like,
Yeah. I care less now.
That's just the way it is, man. Like I don't have that, that suave, debonair.
We call it swagger these days, Jeff. I mean, come on.
Fine.
Come on.
I don't have the swagger that you do. I need animals just to get dressed. Ask my wife.
It really depends on where you're traveling too. I mean, if you're like going to New York and you need something, that's whatever you need.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. If you're going to an area where they have a Target, right? Why do you need to bring your own stuff?
Amazon Prime can deliver it to your hotel. I mean, on the flip side, one time I was in Jamaica, I was there for a 30-day shoot, and I was there on my 2nd day, and I swear to God, I don't know who it is, but someone while I was out shooting went in my hotel room and he stole all my underwear.
Just your underwear?
Just the drawers. So I thought it was somebody on the crew. I have no idea. So the wardrobe stylist sent somebody out to go give me some underwear, which, where we were in Jamaica, it took him like 4 hours. And when he got back, it was like 2 sizes too small. It's like, dude.
I'm gonna go with a theory.
One day,
You were burgled by the underpants gnomes, man. That's what happened. I
thought about it at that point. It's like maybe I could put my sweat in a bottle and sell it. I mean, I don't know, because they were all used. That was the thing. None of it wasn't clean. So someone's just like, "That's gold," and like ran off with it.
I hope they went the Ex Officio because those are not cheap.
No,
they're not. But they last forever. It all balances out in the universe. You buy cheap stuff.
We should put that in the
and Costco. I don't know. Yeah, we should. Costco had them. Like they normally sell for like $25 a pair at REI and places like that. Costco had a 3-pack for $27. I bought like 10 of them, 9 of them or whatever it was.
Nice. Yeah.
I don't know if they still have them, but that was the bomb.
Yeah. Those. It's a classic case of you get you pay for it because you spend a little bit more, but then they outlast other ones by orders of magnitude. So, and like you said, Jeff, you can wash them and they're quick dry and they're wicking and all that stuff. So they're just they're superior.
I was so sold on them. I got the Ex Officio shirts. I mean, like even those dry. I mean, man, and they're expensive. Like each shirt's like $75 or them. But I'll tell you what, they last a long time. They look good, and man, they dry. I don't know how they do that, but they dry in like no time. Even like when we were in Namibia and Botswana, it was like 34 degrees when we woke up. It was cold, and it still dried quickly. I don't know how they pulled that. But.
So Jeff, take us inside your luggage. So you got your roller, right? We talked about camera gear, so we kind of got an idea about that.
But even the camera. Well, all right, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So you got your roller. It's open on the bed. What and how are you putting your stuff in there? I want to get intimate and detailed with this.
I do. Sometimes I fold, sometimes I roll. It depends on how much stuff I'm trying to cram in there. And like at the Olympics in Korea, the problem was, it was like minus 10 degrees.
Yeah.
And so so I had to pack a ridiculous amount of clothing. So my wife was good enough to go out and get those plastic bags that you can kind of vacuum down and then seal them. And so she helped me pack like stuff into these bags to compress it. That was a pain. And this is why I love Summer Olympics, because, you know, a couple pair of shorts, a couple ex officio shirts, and you're out of there.
Yeah.
But typical bag, you know, it's interesting. Like Julia said, depends where you're going. You know, if you do have to dress up, if I'm having dinner with a sponsor, then I can't just bring shorts and stuff. I think about that. But typically, if it's a workshop where I'm out and it's going to be warm, it's shorts. You know, it's, like I said, 4 or 5 pair of underwear, 4 or 5 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of shoes, because again, places like Africa, if you do mess up a pair of shoes, you can't get American. I wear a size 13. You can't get shoes that size, and there is no Amazon.com in Tanzania. So
right.
So I bring 2 pairs of shoes, and I cram them all into a carry-on bag, and that's that. And then as far as the cameras, I really try to keep it simple. Like I can go with a 24 to 105 or 2470, and a 100 to 400. And the way I see that is, okay, now I can get anywhere from 24 millimeters to 400 millimeters with those 2 lenses. I have my 2 camera bodies. One is a backup and one is my main, and I'm off and running. And yeah, I bring the chargers and 1 or 2 extra batteries for each.
Yeah.
And I do bring up backup SSDs and hard drives and stuff.
Now, all this complexity that we're talking about, and including, we even talked about toiletries and how you manage all that. Are both of you guys? Do you have a sort of a bag that's pre-packed with sort of your base kit, and then you can add to it based on what the mission at hand is? Who wants to take that first? Julio?
Go ahead, Julio.
Yeah, I have a little overnight bag with my, basic, like a normal toothbrush. I use like a Sonicare at home, but I got it's like a normal toothbrush, a little bit of toothpaste, some Tom's deodorant, and I got my wipes, my lens wipes, and then my body wipes. And so at a moment, some floss, and that's it, really.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Toothpaste, toothbrush, and I do have extra stuff, Tums, Cipro, whatever it might be for travel.
Yeah, if I'm going to a humid environment, I'll bring some Gold Bond because I don't want to get like monkey blood, which is like hell on earth. And if you're gone and you're in a humid environment, the thing is, like, I usually don't shave with a bladed razor because if I do, I can get really close. I use like a Phillips one blade, which is great if I'm traveling domestically. But if I'm going to go internationally, I'll just get a really close shave before I go and do my hair up here. Like I'm good for like a month,
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Down here, 4 days, I look like Rumpelstiltskin or something.
So I don't even care. Like, and I tell people, like, this happened when I was in South Africa because I accidentally left my razor in the hotel room, and it was an electric one. And I'm like, whatever. And I just told the people in Botswana, I'm growing a beard, and it is what it is. And and again, to me, part of it's that I have to deal with this face, so there's not much I can do to it. So I don't even care. Like it is what it is.
But Jeff, like if you're traveling to Botswana or someplace like that, right? And I'm playing the role of the novice traveler here, right? So and I am novice. I've never been to Africa. So if I decide, you know what, I want to go to Africa in 2 weeks, what next? Because just getting there seems relatively easy, right? It's a ticket and you're on the plane, and even getting to a hotel or wherever you're going to stay seems relatively easy. But once you're there, like all the fear sets in of like, where should I go? Where shouldn't I go? Should I have brought a water purification kit? All these things come into your mind. So and the main thing is I'm like, for me, I'm not so much worried about dying there as getting sick. I don't want to get sick and then miss my entire trip there, and then you get better the day before it's time to go back on the plane. Right. And so how do you manage that?
Knock on wood. I never had that problem. I mean, thankfully, here's the thing. So going and knowing the places to go is key. So like when we go to Africa, the first time I went to Africa, I work in conjunction with M&M Photo Tours because Mike, who runs M&M, he's been to like 200 and something safaris. He knows all the places to go. The places we stay all have filtered water, or if they don't, they'll tell you they don't. Like, don't drink the water. Here's bottles of water for you every day or whatever. And so, and I tend to stay safe, and I do brush my teeth with bottled water when I'm in most places. Outside the U.S., just in case.
In some places inside the U.S. as well these days.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's true too. But I mean, for the most part, most of the places we stay are pretty nice, so we don't have to worry about it. Yeah. But I find sometimes the people who are really freaked out about it tend to get sick versus the people that don't worry about it and they don't get sick. I do tell people when they go on our trips, go to a travel doctor and get, if you're going to go to Tanzania, take malaria pills. Yeah. When I went to Namibia and Botswana on the last trip, I didn't take anything, nothing, and I was fine. But I did, we did have Cipro with us. Mike brought a bunch of it. So there was one day where my stomach.
And what is Cipro? Just for people that don't know what Cipro is.
Yeah, so Cipro is like a lot of people want to take Imodium with them, and Imodium tends to stop you up. So it's not the best thing to take. But Cipro is one of those things that if you take two, if you're not feeling great, you take two. Then with the first night, you take one the next day, and it generally takes care of everything in your stomach, goes back to normal pretty quickly. And so, and when you go to the travel doctor, you can get a prescription for it. It is a prescription. But my daughter has Crohn's disease, and she takes Cipro every day for her stomach. So it can be used, and there's no issues with addiction and or overuse. But I tell you what, it works magic. And so, but you hope to God that you don't have someone who is sick to the point where they can't go and travel with you, because that's especially when you're on safari. Or the hard part is if it's a day you're moving from one area of Namibia to the next, they don't have a choice. They've got to be on with you, and you got to drive for 6 hours or whatever it might be. That is not fun when you're not feeling good. And luckily, we've never had problems because we bring the right meds and we stay at the right places. So
yeah, and Julie, I want to throw the same question at you, and I'll preface it with I've seen exactly the same thing you've seen, Jeff, is across the board. Some people are just take every precaution. Therefore, if you do get sick, it's not your fault, right? You did everything you could. And then the other people that are like, you know what? I trust that my white blood cell army is trained up and ready to go, and I'm gonna go. Like my friend Michael Bonacore, he's a travel photographer, works with Resource Magazine and Alex Nicky and all those that crew. And he was telling me, he was in Puerto Rico when I went. He was telling me that he falls into that camp of, hey, I'll eat anything, I'll drink anything. He went down the list of exotic foods that he's eaten that I would never even be in the same room with, so all that stuff. And he went as far as to say he went to India once and drank the brown water from the river, right? And I was like,
that's crazy.
I was like, do you know why that water's brown, my friend? Just saying. And it ain't just human excrement that's in that water. There's actual humans in that water. So, I mean, Giulio, what about you, man? Like, when we look at this from the standpoint of staying healthy while you're traveling so you can do the thing that you went there for, and that's take photos, what precautions does Giulio Sciorio take?
I have a really sensitive system, but I don't take any kind of crazy medicine with me. I'll bring some Tums, and some like Excedrin migraines to get migraines and stuff. But that's really about it. Then I just kind of use common sense. Like if I'm eating stuff that I know I'm not going to be good, I'm just very careful about that. That's it. It's kind of use common sense. But you can't plan for everything. So I know, you just have to know yourself. Like I know, if I mix a lot of coffee with a lot of dairy, all the acid is gonna work its craziness with my system. So then it's like, okay, well, if I don't have any Tums with me, if I can just get a spoonful of baking soda, which any kitchen has, put it in some water, I'm good to go, like in a minute. So that's about as much as I planned. I do bring Band-Aids and just medical tape. Like I always bring a roll of medical tape, which I can use as a Band-Aid, mainly for blisters. That's the main thing, is for blisters, because I find that regardless of what pairs of shoes I bring, when you're walking with some shoes around your house or in a neighborhood, so different if you're like in Europe and you're walking all day long. Yeah. Then you really get to know how good or bad those shoes are and where they rub you. So I always have some medical tape with me, and sometimes I forget, but I always have small rolls of gaff tape in my bag, and in a pinch, gaff tape on over blisters does a great job.
Every decent photographer should have at least you know, at least a strip of gaffer's tape somewhere accessible. Right?
I
learned that watching David Hobby. He's like, you know, gaffer's tape everywhere.
Yeah,
Actually,
because you can peel it off and use it again.
And Giulio, you just said something that triggered a thought for me. You talked about common sense, and one thing we haven't talked about is security. And I know you talk about worrying about your gear in a hotel room, and Frederick, one of the things we should talk about is security and the worry about travel, because when you go to places like Brazil, where your equipment is worth more than these people make in 10 years, you do have to worry about leaving it in a hotel room. Or you just take it with you. And I know cases of people who've gone on workshops to like Moab or somewhere, even here in the U.S., and everybody leaves their gear in the car and they go for lunch, and someone breaks in that car and takes 10 camera bags and stuff. So, one of the other things that you have to, and I think Giulio, you said it with common sense, you really need to use common sense when you're traveling. Like if you're lost, and I've been lost in places, don't look lost. Like I'll get my phone out and act like I'm texting someone while I'm really looking at a map. I won't break out a map and look like a tourist. It's like, and don't leave all your gear in plain sight, or don't leave a 70 to 200 on a 1DX Mark II on your table and go to the bathroom, or even look away. I mean, there's things that you have to be cognizant of. And I think, again, I think depending on where you're going, it's different in different places. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, like in Africa, you can leave gear up at the main part of your lodge charging, and you're fine.
Yeah, and it's common sense, right?
Gear in the car,
go ahead, G.
like ever. I mean, people leave gear in a car all the time, and every time I hear about it, I'm like, that's so stupid. Would you do it at home? Right. No. Well, why are you doing it when you're in Italy or somewhere? When it's like you see it all the time. And you see people just being like, they're just excited for whatever they're doing, but they're being dumb tourists, and it's obvious, and you become a target. And hopefully you got insurance,
they follow those people, like in Italy.
Oh yeah.
The people will all put the stuff in their car, then they'll drive to the next spot, which I tend to try to do in my trunk, and then I'll go to the next spot, thinking, okay, I'm not going to open the trunk, take my expensive camera gear and show everybody and put it in my trunk, right? So I try to do it before I go to the next spot. But I know people who have traveled to Italy and been followed. They went in just to get a cup of coffee, and someone ripped off everything out of the van. And so, those are nightmare situations. But, and there's times I will leave stuff in a hotel room. I'll leave the TV on. I'll put the do not disturb sign on. I'll even sometimes, when I'm closing the door, if someone's in the hallway, I'll say, hey, hon, I'll be back in a little bit. Like someone's in that room, just to cast doubt. Yeah. Have the TV on loud enough so people think someone's in there. I mean, there's little tricks you can do, but I mean, you do have to think about that when unless you want to carry your gear with you everywhere.
This is where you got to be present when you're traveling. And this is why, like, if you bring a ton of gear, especially people like, I'm going to go on vacation, and they start buying a ton of gear they're not used to using. First of all, it takes years to understand how a particular lens works and the characteristics of that lens or that camera, or whatever. Don't buy new gear right before you go on a trip, or for God's sakes, don't buy new gear the day before you go do a new job that you just don't know. It's stupid to do that, but people do it all the time. So not only are they trying to figure out, well, first of all, how to make good photos with all this gear, they're like out in the public and they're like all fumbling with this stuff, try to switching lenses, and it's just so obvious.
I've seen that a lot at workshops where people, and the heart's in the right place, I think, but where people they'll sign up for this expensive workshop and then say, you know what, I've always wanted that new insert camera brand here. I'm going to get that, and I'm going to take it on the workshop. Therefore, Giulio or Jeff can show me how to use my new camera, and I won't have to go through the manual, right?
Dude, not me. Anytime I do a workshop, I'm like, who's got Canon? You guys got Canon? You guys hang. Who's got Nikon? You guys hang. I'm here to teach photography. I'm not here to teach cameras.
Well, and I'll download the manual if I need to help them figure out things. I try to help in it regardless of the camera body. But it is. I tell people before you leave, hey, I hope you understand at least the triangle. ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. At least let's get that part in. If you don't understand back button focus or whatever, I'll teach you that. But you're right. If you're trying to learn your camera and you're not thinking about where you are and not being present, you're making yourself a target. And I think one of the things you've got to be careful of when you're traveling is not making yourself a target. And I see it all the time where people will, oops, I accidentally left I forget where it was. Someone left a flash one time in New York City on a ledge. We went back like half an hour later. It was still there. Couldn't believe it. But I've seen other people who said, "Oh wait, I left my expensive lens. I was just switching lenses, and it's gone." And that makes you want to cry. Yeah. But you can't assume that people are going to return your gear. It does happen, which is great, but you have to assume the worst case, that the person that bumps into you with their newspaper. You have to assume it's a pickpocket, right? Even though it may not be. You have to hold onto your gear, and put your wallet in your front pocket. One of the things I love about the Think Tank bag is that my wallet is in a zippered pocket inside of a zippered pocket. So if I have the backpack on and there's lucky enough to get something unzipped, they'd have to work into a double zipper to get it out, and that would be tougher to do. So little stuff like that does matter.
I think one of the big things
bags for travel too.
Sorry, G. I was going to say one of the big things that is a takeaway from what you're saying, Jeff, is sort of presence of mind and your attitude when you're in foreign areas, that are foreign to you, not so much outside of your home country, but that you're just not familiar with. And making yourself a target is being that man or woman that's walking around looking bewildered and somebody help me, I have lots of money and I'm an easy mark, hit me over the head, and you won't have to work for 3 months, right?
There's people who go down to Brazil and just think that they can just hop in any taxi cab. No, you don't. You have your hotel arrange your transportation, but if you don't know any better.
And that's the thing. That's the whole purpose of the show, or part of the purpose of the show was, if you don't know any better, how do you keep yourself out of harm's way, Giulio? How about
go with our tours so that we'll take you.
Well, yeah. Well, there's of course.
Go on a tour.
And that's exactly. I mean, not being salesy or anything, but for sure, let someone that has been there before, is familiar with the area, has made the connections, they know what hotels and restaurants to eat at and what not to eat at, all that stuff. Let them do the hard work for you. But if you're adventurous and you don't either want to spend that much money for a workshop or can't spend that much money for a workshop, but you still want to go to Brazil, you can afford to get to Brazil. Like, what do you do? Like, if no one told you, if you hadn't watched this podcast and someone, you didn't hear a rumor that there are good and bad cabs, you're screwed, right? Because you're going to be like, oh, that looks like a cab. Awesome. I'm in it. And now it's over and bad things happen. So what do you do?
Airbnb has got those tours you can set up with locals, and you could see how well they're rated. I mean, I think that would be one place where I would look. If you have, if you're a part of like TWiP PRO community or the small camera, big picture community, you can find people in other countries or that have been in other countries that you could say they're more than likely going to be reliable. And often you can meet up with them as well. But it's just common sense. And, I think it's time that I say it, but don't advertise that you're American when you leave this country. And not just because of the climate now, but ever. Yeah. I mean, and you see, but I see it every time I go to, like when I go visit my family in Italy, there's like, they have like those types of sandals that dads wear, and then they'll have like their cell phone on their belt, and like they got their visor on, and I'm like, dude, they're like, they're like, George, where do we go to the Piazza Bonizia? I want to get some Parmesan cheese, and they're like, dude, their shit's going down. Yeah.
Giulio, can you take me over to the Leaning Tower of Pizza, because I want.
They got the map out, and they're kind of like, oh, hey, and they're like poking at the map, or just like you're just being rude, or they're young and they're drunk because they're under 21. Like, I can drink, and it's just like you just watch it. It's just like watching like a little lamb wander off.
It's like watching Darwinism unfold before your eyes, right?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it so many times.
I actually used when there was a time, if you remember, when the Americans were hated by almost everybody. And,
you mean yesterday?
Yeah, that would be today. And a lot of times, people don't know if we're from Canada or Australia. I mean, now granted, the accent, they might know if you're Australian, but a lot of places can't decipher it. So for a lot of places, you could be Canadian. So I actually had a luggage tag that was a Canadian flag on it, And I had a Canadian hat because I play hockey, so I have all these Canadian things. And so really, honestly, there was a time where I actually traveled with those luggage tags on my bag just because I thought, you know, it's probably safer than being cast as an American. And I mean, it's kind of, you know, and I don't do it anymore, but maybe I should.
That is, I mean, yeah, that's a good statement on where we've come, because I remember in my day, you know, it used to be, you know, I'm wearing my American flag loud and proud. I'm going outside the country. I'm representing my country, you know, and now, you know, might as well paint a Target logo on your chest, right?
Actually, at the Olympics in Sochi, I think it was, we were told by Team USA not to wear anything that USA on it. So they didn't want us promoting the fact that we were Americans, and it wasn't until the end of the games that people started doing it because we felt, okay, this is safe. But there was so much terrorist warnings that we were told by, you know, those of us who work for the USOC were told, you know what, don't wear it.
Yeah.
Just say, you know, why advertise it? That's sad.
It is sad. It is sad.
But it's not necessarily that. I mean, yeah, there are people that will hate other countries at all times, but it's also because people in other countries are just poor. I mean, like you said earlier, Jeff, like, you know, a one nice Canon L lens, it's like someone's income for a year, like seriously for a year. So it's not that they're like, we hate Americans, although that may be the case, but it's like, you know, if I get that lens out of their hands, and I could sell it, and my family and I are going to be good to go. Or if I get caught, I'll probably get my hands chopped off or something. But
yeah, I don't think it's a binary sort of thing, right? It's a mixture of all that. You could have, you know, who knows, humans, right? We're very creative at finding other ways to screw other humans, right? So, you know, it could be, and I don't mean in a good sense. I mean, you know, so I mean, it could be, hey, I got to feed my kids. I'm motivated. Either your trip can get messed up and your insurance can pay for your lens, or my kid can starve tonight. I wonder what choice I'm going to make. That happens
in America too, guys.
Exactly.
I mean, I was in Baltimore once, and the cops pulled me over, and I'm like, "What did I do wrong?" Like, nothing. But why are you in this neighborhood? You know, and they made me leave the hood, and I'm like, okay.
Wow, you know? Wow! You got a DWW? Wow, that's crazy.
Never heard that before.
The DWW. Oh man, that's killer. All right, guys, we're gonna transition into. I'm gonna let you guys each of you give your closing remarks on just like last little nuggets that you want to leave the TWiP listeners on effective travel or professional travel, and then we'll transition into the picks of the week and then questions. So folks that are in the chat room, if you have questions for us, make sure you post them in there. Our good friend Mr. Chris Berry, the TWiP community manager, is in there collating and getting stuff together for us and dropping your questions into the Google Doc that all three of us are looking at this very moment. Technology, imagine that. But before we do any of that, the picks of the week and the closing statements, I want to once again thank our sponsor for this episode of This Week in Photo, and that's our friends at Bay Photo down in Santa Cruz. Some of the things, and you know, I used to have a printer. I used to have an Epson, a large Epson that I would use to print from time to time. But then every time I would go to print on that printer, it would be clogged and require calibration and all that stuff. So I would use it less and less. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to start FTPing stuff over to real labs like Bay Photo, who are calibrated and will do it right the same time every time I send a file. So Bay Photo is one of those such labs. Some of the things I wanted to mention is like I said, they're Santa Cruz based. They've been in the business over 40 years. So they know a little bit about laying pigments down on paper, and they're constantly releasing a wide range of other products. Some of them that I have on my list here are metal prints. If you haven't made a metal print yet, you should probably do that and use that 25% off. Right? Acrylic prints, canvas. What are you saying, Jeff?
I'm saying Bay Photo, like the stuff that's behind me, metal prints that are back there, all Bay Photo.
All Bay Photo.
Love them. They're great. Our albums, books, everything, really good.
Yeah, it's like they're like for the professional photographer, which is why it's easy to do this kind of ad, because they're one of the companies that I believe in, because they allow you to do stuff that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to do by yourself, right?
And their service is amazing too.
Yep, ridiculous service.
I've had them do a reprint for me. I said, "Oops, hey, there's a mistake there." They said, "No problem. We'll have one overnighted to you tomorrow." Like, they're great.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and like on my list here, one of the things that I made all these notes for myself. One of the things that they pride themselves on is the quality printing, customer service, and ridiculously fast delivery. Which that fast delivery thing for me kind of takes that whole printing equation out of it. It's like, why do I need to dedicate real estate in my house or wherever to make occasional prints? Now, if you're printing every day, that's one thing. But to make occasional prints and you want them all consistent, why not just use a company that is designed to do that kind of thing? So that's why I believe in these kind of labs. And Bay Photo just rocks it. So for TWiP, they're giving 25% off. If you go to TWiP.pro, that's TWiP.pro/BayPhoto, and you crank up a new account, they'll knock 25% automatically off of your first order. So I would definitely check that out. I don't know how long they're going to be doing that, but definitely check that out. And once again, thank you to Bay Photo for your support of This Week in Photo. We really appreciate you. All right, guys, let's move on. So Jeff, I want to give you the first crack at final comments on things that, you know, the roller bag and backpack crew that are getting ready to go to Tanzania. What are some of the top line things? Give me like 2 or 3 things that they should absolutely keep in mind.
You know, I think like, you know, going back to what we talked about earlier, which is, you know, trying to find that right amount of gear to bring. You know, you want to bring enough. You know, ask around. You know, if you're going on a tour, ask the people running the tour, because people ask me all the time. Or if you're not going on a tour, you're trying to go on your own. Ask people. You know, email people like, you know, Giulio or me, and say, "Hey, what do you recommend?" Because I'll answer the email and tell them. But I mean, it's one of those things where you do want to try to find that sweet spot without bringing the entire gear. And we had a guy who went to, I think it was Namibia with us, and he had like the full-size rolling bag and a backpack. I mean, he had a lot of gear. Yeah. And he, you know, he was fit enough to handle it, but man, that was a lot to take. And so, you know, you want to try to avoid that and go just with what you're going to use. And I'll leave you with this, which is, we've all done it. I've taken the wide angle lens and never used it. I've taken, you know, the filter set that I've never used. You know, you take a macro, you don't use a macro, or whatever it might be. So, you know, just it's talking to people, getting experience, and this is going to vary on every place that you go. Because you go to, you know, New York, you may not need a macro. You go to Costa Rica, you absolutely want a macro. Yeah. So asking questions of people who have been to that place.
Love it, love it, perfect. Giulio, what say you? Closing thoughts.
Just use common sense. I mean, if you are going on a trip because you want to take photos, definitely consider partnering with another photographer, either on a tour, or just or if you can't afford that, a photographer that you know and do trust in that area. That way you can focus on the photography more so than doing all the planning and whatnot. But get your intention clear on what outcome you want to have, and then let everything feed into that. And then don't forget your wipes. Yeah. Don't forget your wipes.
Okay. Well, give it. Why? Why do you need those?
Zeiss wipes for lenses. Below the belt wipes for, well, you know.
I thought he said, don't forget your wives. You know, like, yeah, don't forget them either.
That too.
And then this is like your shower in a bag.
Oh, nice. Look at that. You just hit the hot spots with that and you're good to go.
Dude, this is an 11-inch thing. It folds out. So they make them for men and women. Oh, they're awesome, dude.
So you got to give us links to all this stuff for the show notes. So that's fantastic.
They're called good wipes. I use them in you know, here in Austin, because if I'm out shooting during the day, you know, downtown, I don't want to be like, you know, if I may shoot and then go to a meeting, like I just want to dive in a hotel, carry an extra shirt, boom, good wipe, and I'm ready for that meeting.
I love that. That's cool. All right. Well, those are going to go in my bag. See, I learned something every show. All right. let's move on, guys. It's time for the picks of the week. The picks of the week segment is where you guys can give the TWiP audience something or some kind of tip or pick or suggestion. Could be anything. Could be a workshop, could be a philosophy, could be gear, software, hardware, whatever, as long as it is related to photography. Giulio Sciorio, I'm going to let you go first, man. What is your pick of the week? I
struggled between the bag I mentioned and my F100.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say my F100. I think it's a great travel camera, and I just really dig it every day. But yeah,
that's it.
Simple camera.
The X100F.
X100F. Yeah.
That's nice. Cool. Yeah, I'm sad that I had to send the one that I had on loan from Fuji back. That's a fantastic camera. I need more than a couple weeks though with it to put it through its paces. Did you buy that one, or is that on a loan or what?
No, I bought it because I have an X Pro 1 that I love, but I was like, I'm only using the 23 all the time. I have the 16-1.4 and the 35-1.4, all amazing glass. But I'm like, I'm using that one lens all the time. So that lens, there's a F2 version on here, and I'm like, it's a little more compatible with Lightroom CC versus the X Pro 1, which the profiles were kind of a mixed bag. It's great.
Love it.
It's like I shoot ISO 6400, no problem.
So that's interesting coming from you, because you've been, across the spectrum when it comes to camera bodies, right? All the way from film to full frame to mirrorless to shooting primarily with mobile and now fixed frame mirrorless with the X100 series, right?
Yeah. I mean, now this isn't the reason why I have this is because this is all I need for me to communicate my vision to clients. And then if I get a job that needs a specific camera, well, then we have rental budget. And with all these cameras coming out and they're all really good, I'm like, I don't need to think about all that stuff.
Yeah.
Got it. One camera gets the job done. When I need something, when I need it, I will rent it. I'm not just going to go buy it and have it hang out in my
on
my
standby. Yeah.
No, man, I spend my money on experiences like photo tours and workshops like F64 and all that stuff, out of Chicago. That's where to put your money, folks.
No, for sure. Awesome. Cool, man. Well, thank you for that. The FujiFilm X100F is Giulio's pick of the week. Jeff Cable, what's your pick of the week, man?
So we haven't talked about the blog. I should at least mention the blog.
Yes, mention your blog. Yeah, go for it.
I don't know how. So check out the blog. It's just blog.jeffcable.com. I blog every week. I just blogged about the new Canon mirrorless camera that Giulio's so thrilled about. And but I give a very honest opinion. So I work with the guys at Canon, sponsored by them. But unlike some of the others out there who just then feel like they should sing the praises of everything, I've been very honest about the camera, what I like about it and what I don't like about it. And so the blog, there is an advertising on the blog for a reason. I'm trying to keep it, I don't want to look like a race car. I want to be able to talk the truth. So check it out. And then the pick of the week, and I was thinking about it, what I use all the time, and I like to try to find low cost items. So I'm going this guy, which is my Wacom tablet.
Oh, nice.
My Intuos Pro. And here's the thing, this thing's like, I don't know, $300, something like that, and it's like the best $300 I've ever spent. So I don't even have a mouse on this computer. I just disconnected this one. It's USB-C. I don't know if you can see that or not, but basically, this guy is everything. This sits on my computer. I do everything with the pen, the stylus, and so like I said, I do email. Everything is done with the stylus. I don't even have a mouse on this computer. And
really,
but literally, what makes it so cool is so I've got a large 4K monitor here. It's like a 35-inch. No, is it that big? It's big. 35-inch 4K monitor. And literally, if I use a mouse to try to go across it, you have to go like this, so about 3 times to get down from one side to the other. Whereas the tablet is pressure sensitive, so if I just tap on the bottom corner, it goes to the bottom corner. But what I love is that the stylus is pressure sensitive, so that if I'm editing out flyaway hairs, like I was today on this picture, this mare that I photographed today, she had flyaway hairs that were showing, and I just went in and I could paint them out, and the harder I press, the thicker the tip gets without having to sit there and adjust the brush sizes. And literally, this, you know, in the world of photography where we're talking about spending, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars, this thing's like, you know, 300 and change or whatever it is for the Intuos. I actually like the medium size. I don't like the big or the small size. I like the medium size. Yeah. And it's awesome. Like, it's such a, I can't tell you how many hours it saves me every week.
I've seen, yeah, I had a similar conversation with Aaron Nace of Flern fame, and Aaron said very similar things to what you're saying, Jeff, in terms of it's the best money I've ever spent. I can't live without a Wacom tablet. And I have a Wacom tablet, but I can't get myself to use it. Like, I don't know if it's age or whatever, but like my hand wants a mouse for some reason, and like the pen feels like I gotta reach over there, I gotta pick that thing up, I gotta find the tablet, I gotta do this, and then I gotta put it back. With the mouse, I feel like I'm just, I don't know. Do you find the tablet faster?
I do. You know what? I mean, there are times when you're right, when reaching for the stylus and then doing email might take a little longer. I'm so used to it, I didn't think about it. But honestly, you know, and you could still have a mouse on there for everything other than retouching. I just like to keep it clean, and I don't have one on here at all. But the sheer amount of editing that I do, you know, it's, you know, Giulio talked about, you know, if you don't need a camera, if it's going to sit around the whole time and collect dust, why have it? Yeah. But like with my gear is being recharged almost every night because I shoot so much, which also means I edit a lot. And so because I'm retouching so often, I love having this thing because it does save time. And so, yeah, I'll take a little bit of a trade-off by, you know, doing email and stuff with it, just to have it clean on my desk. Yeah. It does. The new ones are actually, you can use your finger like you would with an iPad and actually just do touch. But what you want to do, the way to learn this, and I loved it in the first 5 minutes using one. I'm like, I got to get one of these. But what they say is take your mouse and you mail it to yourself. So the post office will take, what, 2 or 3 days to get back to you unless they lose it. And then by then you'll get used to it. Like it really is, seriously, like, once you get used to it, it's a game changer. It really is. And it's, you know, and it's one of the things in this industry that doesn't cost thousands of dollars, but it's worth like the thousands to me. I've actually gone through, I think, 2 or 3 of them, worn through them. Oh, wow. Using them so much. Wow. Yeah, scary.
All right, well, cool. So that's some glowing endorsement there. So Wacom Intuos tablets, you're the Goldilocks of the lineup, right? You like the middle one?
I do. One's just right. The big one's too big, the small one's too small. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. That's a perfect pick, though. Thank you for that. All right, my pick goes along with what we were talking about as the topic for this show. And I wanted to preface this with, I've been on the hunt for and this is kind of like chasing the sunset, right? But on the hunt for the perfect camera bag or the perfect everyday bag. And as we all photographers are, right? So, you know, I'm sure most of us have a bag or a closet full of bags that, you know, that we can address and pull out any given time. And they all have great memories. But what I found is there's a whole subgenre on YouTube and online of inexpensive backpacks that are every bit as good. I know I'm gonna get killed for this, but every bit as good as what we call normal expensive camera bags, where we're used to paying like, you know, $150, $200 for your sort of, you know, run of the mill, okay, I can deal with this for a year bag. $40 or, you know, in some cases $100 for something fantastic and on Amazon Prime, you know, based on just watching a bunch of reviews on YouTube is what I found. So as you step outside of the photography world where prices are a little bit different for the same thing that you can get in another industry, the dynamics change. And what I found after doing some research is my new favorite bag right here. Let me go full screen on me here. So this is from eBags. You see that? This is, and I'll link to a review for this bag if I don't do one myself, but it is easily one of the best bags that I bought and that I've owned, and it's not a camera bag. It is an everyday sort of travel bag that you can put your laptop in, you can put a camera in, you can put a tablet in it, all your bits and baubles. The cool thing about this bag that I haven't seen on any other bags is this thing down here. Check this out. So if you open this bottom area, this is a hardened sort of sturdy area for cables and stuff that just keeps your cables right there. So you're not like, you know, I got to fold them up a special way in order for me to be able to find them. They always go in that little sort of hard compartment that's zipper closed, and you always know where to find them. And that was like a kind of a game changer for me. And it has been my sort of daily bag for, I don't know, about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. And all my stuff's in it now. So it is awesome. So I would highly recommend that. I'll put a link to it in the notes, obviously, but it's from a company called eBags. And this is, I want to say that it's called the Overnight Messenger or something. They didn't really have a name for it, but you'll see it on there. And I'll do a...
What's it sell for?
99 bucks. It was 99 bucks. 99 bucks, Amazon Prime to my door the next day. So, and loaded it up and was rocking and rolling with it. And once you see the reviews and you see the kind of in-depth look at the bag, I was like, wow, how come I needed this bag like a year ago? You know, because there's always like, I want to carry my camera bag, but I can't get all the other stuff I need in my camera bag because it's designed for lenses and camera bodies. But then I want to carry a business bag that's designed for laptops, and I can't put camera stuff in it because it doesn't understand cameras and lenses. This bag kind of falls in the middle there. So it's really, really smartly made. So, yeah.
And that's $100?
99 bucks, yeah. Yep, 99 bucks.
Check out the DNA 15 Slim. It's I think like 159.
I will.
It is.
Give me the link. Give me the link. We'll put it in the notes. We'll put it in the notes. But I'm excited. Okay. Like what I was saying at the top of that little rant was, there's a whole genre of people that are just reviewing bags. They're just reviewing bags and talking about how awesome bags are. And, you know, there's like this little bag subculture, like one of the YouTubers that I'm a huge fan of that I follow is a tech reviewer. His name is MKBHD, right? Marquez Brownlee. And he's a bag head, right? So he's one of these people like, I only buy a certain kind of bag. It must have this, and it's a backpack. It must be red and black, you know, all this stuff. I'm like, I must be old because I missed that whole train on,
being picky about bags makes sense because we use the bags all the time. And and I use Think Tank and I love them. They're built so good. Like everything about, I mean, I love the product and they're expensive. They are definitely more expensive than that. But I find they're amazing bags. But it's funny. I used to use low pro bags, and I said to them before one of the Olympics, I need a new bag that holds this, this, and this. And they sent me like 10 different bags and said, like, here you go to see which one works. And like, actually, none of them worked exactly the way I wanted.
Right.
It's weird. It's like camera straps. You know, I use the Black Rapid, and it's so much better than the stupid neck straps that the camera companies give you. Yeah. It's a dumb little thing, but man, it makes a huge difference.
Well, that's a good segue right there, or a slide little cul-de-sac we'll pull off on, is those manufactured neck straps with the brand and the company name advertising, hit me over the head and take my expensive electronics, please. That's what it says. Exactly. So the first thing I do, I use Peak Design, the straps in their little cabling system. So first thing I do is get rid of that. I have a box full of old straps from cameras that I bought, you know, and it goes, the Peak Design strap is what I use. You can use anything as long as it doesn't say the manufacturer on it. All right, guys, let's move into the Q&A. This is where we bring the audience into this here show. And the first question is from TWiP PRO Monster, Stephen Scharf. Stephen Scharf is prolific inside of TWiP PRO. Thanks for stopping by, Stephen. He says, what is your one piece of essential photo gear for travel? Giulio, and don't say camera. What's your camera? What's your one piece?
I have this. I got this Panasonic battery pack / wall charger that has 2 USB ports in it. You can't even buy it anymore. They gave it to me at some event they were doing when I was a luminary, and I can't find anybody that makes one like this. I would love somebody that makes one like this with the rapid charger technology built in, but. Dude, overnight, I could plug it right in the wall. It's got 2 ports. And then if I need it during the day, it's got enough juice to charge my iPhone and like a camera like the X100 to charge us through USB.
Nice.
And that thing is awesome. You know, I don't really have it anymore because my wife travels a lot, and now it's with her. Yeah. So I have
what is it again? What's the name brand?
It's a Panasonic wall charger that's got a battery pack built into it and 2 USB ports.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I've got one similar that's a Sony, and it's designed for the Sony Action Cam batteries. And you slap the battery in there. It's not a battery itself, but it is a charger that has multiple USB ports on it, and it'll take a battery, multiple size batteries, because it's kind of got this spring-loaded mechanism on it. But yeah, those work good. So that's your one piece of essential gear, Giulio, is the battery charger? That's what you're gonna go with?
Yeah.
All right.
That is my final answer.
It's your story. You stick it to it. All right, Steven, you got it. All right, Jeff, what about you, man? What's your one piece? You got to outdo the battery charger. Come on.
I can't outdo it because I'm sitting there racking my brain going, what is the one piece? Like, I wish I could say I knew a piece. Like, I'm thinking like my wallet, as long as I have a credit card, because if you're in New York City and you're close to B&H, you buy whatever. But like, honest to goodness, I can't think of just one piece that is like that essential to me. I mean, and again, it depends where I'm going. Every place is different, but man, I don't really have one thing that I could think of. I do lay awake at night thinking about making sure I have a list. By the way, that's probably my one thing. On my iPhone 10, I have a note page of things not to forget: passport, wallet. So I used to fly airplanes, and when you fly airplanes, they have a checklist. So you make sure you have fuel, you check the carb heat, blah, blah, blah. And so, you may be a pilot for 10,000 flights, you still get a checklist. And so I have a checklist of things, and I do that before big trips to make sure, to have backup cables and blah, 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 and adapters for adapters and all the things. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, there's no one easy question to that. There's no like one thing, because photography itself is a constellation of crap that you have to bring with you, right? And it's all dependent. All right, next question is from Trevor Panaki. Trevor says, what are the steps people take to protect their gear from theft and loss while traveling? Like, do you guys, like, what do you do, Giulio? You start with you. What do you do when you get to your hotel room? Jeff gave some kind of do some misdirection before you leave and that sort of thing with the TV and talking to non-existent humans. Like, do you do that, or do you use the safe in the room, or what? What's your flow?
I will use a safe if I bring a laptop or an iPad, but usually I go so light, it's just with me everywhere. And with my X100 and my X Pro 1, I don't use any straps. So if someone wants my camera, they're going to have to get it out of my hand. Yeah. And that's it. It's not gonna be easy. So, but everyone's different. I'm pretty chill when I shoot. I do. Not with the X1, not with the X Pro 1 because it's pretty blank, but with anything that's got like a logo on it, I like to cover it with a little bit of gaff tape, and just be, just don't be obvious.
Be invisible, right? Try to be as unobtrusive.
You got to use your street photography skills, man.
Yeah, blend in, hide. Yeah, no, absolutely, cool. What about you?
You said it already. I mean, common sense, honestly, is part of it, and getting a feel for where you are. If I'm staying at a Marriott that looks pretty secure, and I do the tricks I told you about, then I'll leave my laptop out there. And there's places that I know are safe, and I'll leave the laptop in the room. I might be in the middle of doing a Dropbox upload, and I don't care. It really is common sense in knowing where you are and working within that. And so, I don't usually use the safe, but there were times, at the Olympics I had a safe and I did use it, especially for passport, stuff like that. But most of the time I don't use the safe, but I'm always thinking ahead, and I don't use the little locks, even on the think tank bags. To me, those are not enough, and I don't lock down my laptop. Even at the Olympics, a lot of guys lock down their laptops to the desk. I tend to take it with me or watch it very closely.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Sounds like another show in here where we get into more detail on this stuff. Another question from Trevor. He says, are people following an itinerary or just going free form, or what about using guides? I think we hit on that earlier, and basically we were saying if you have the means, use guides. Do you have anything to add to that in terms of going free form and dropping behind enemy lines, or hiring a guide to take you around?
Well, again, as Giulio said, you have to know your guide, right? Don't just pick someone because you don't know who you're getting. But in the case of if you're looking at like wildlife guides, if you go to Costa Rica without a guide or even Africa, you'll miss 90% of the stuff that's there. And I've done that. I walked around going, well, I'm walking around this whole park and I don't see anything. And then you hire a guide and they find like a million things. So it lets let yourself worry about the photography. Let someone else help you find the things you want to find is really the best bet. And again, if you can afford it, do a photo tour. And if you can't, then do some research and start asking questions and finding someone who can help you out. But yeah, you really want to either use a guide if you're going on some kind of safari or wildlife. If you're going into a city, start asking questions or using communities. I think that was a great suggestion. And I've done that in, on Facebook. I'll say like, hey, I'm in, Switzerland in Lucerne, never been here before. What should I see? And out of the woodwork come 10 people who follow me on Facebook and say, hey, we'd love to show you around. Yeah. And I was in Amsterdam and said, okay, fine. Anybody wants to show me around, I'll be here on Sunday at the Marriott, meet me downstairs. And we had like 15 people show up. And it was awesome. We did an impromptu photo walk.
Oh, that's
great. And then you're surrounded by lots of people and safety numbers.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the good aspects of social media, right? Being able to do stuff like that. Well, cool. All right, we got one more question here, and this is from Ruth Happel. She says, this is a wildly general question given the wide range of trips, but what do you feel is the best length for a photo trip? G, what do you think? What's the best length for a photo trip?
If I'm doing something international, I plan my whole time off, ideally for 4 weeks. I go for 3 weeks. Right. So the first week I'm there, I'm kind of just chilling out and I'm kind of getting up to speed. And, I've had vacations before, trips where I'm just like, bam, 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 shoot. And it's like my ass is kicked by the time I'm done. And I don't like that. Like like I said earlier, if I go to Italy, man, I'm having wine, cheese, gelato, pizza, and some sort of salted cured meats every day. So I need to be able to enjoy myself, right?
Yeah.
And then I want a week or so when I come back to kind of wind up and back up in the normal. I don't want to come back and be like, oh, I gotta go work tomorrow and all that. So that's if it's domestic, I usually like a week, and then I'll take a long weekend to kind of just get back up to speed.
Oh, a full week, huh? Like Monday through Friday, and then you basically arrive on the Monday, workshop Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, depart Friday, and you're home for the weekend.
Yeah. Now, if I'm giving it, it's a little different because I may have to go give a workshop, right, and then go give another one the next week. So I like to kind of spend some time at home. So I'll be in and out. But if you're experiencing the workshop, the whole idea with the workshop is that or if you're doing a photo tour, is you're paying for the experience. Yeah. So give yourself some extra time. If you figure once you purchase your flight and your whatever it costs for the workshop, your daily cost, especially in foreign countries for food and all that's usually pretty inexpensive. So give yourself some extra time to just kind of be easy and maybe be present and enjoy the art, or add on some time towards the end because maybe you missed that one shot and you're like, I think I want to go back and I want to get that because I'm borrowing a lens now from Jeff or somebody,
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is it depends on where you're going to. I mean, if you're going to go to Africa, you don't want to go for a week because, it could take you 35 hours just to get there. So you want to think about the travel time, and what you're investing in travel time also affects how long you stay. So, I think, going to Africa, you want to be at least 10 days. If you're just going to the Grand Canyon and you live in California, you can go for probably 4 or 5 days or whatever you want. When you're going somewhere really far and it's not somewhere you're going to go often, then I think you want to stay a little bit longer. And honestly, like my wife and I, on the last trip to Tanzania, she went with me, and we stopped in Amsterdam for a couple of days on the way over, and Amsterdam for a couple of days on the way back. Going back to Giulio's point, just relax a little bit. It's not about photography. It's just about, chilling out and checking out Amsterdam. But it breaks up the trip and makes it a little bit nicer. And I'm shooting a wedding in Maui in December. And I'm already in Hawaii, right? So the client's paying for me to go. I said to my wife, who's assisted me for the wedding, let's go to Kauai for 4 days, whatever, afterwards. So, we'll have a little bit of time, and that's not about photography, although I will still shoot a little bit, but it's really about just chilling out and trying to reconnect and have a little bit of time away from the camera.
Well, if you get to Kauai, beware of all the wild chickens and turkeys running around that place, man. I think they're protected for some reason. I don't know why. So they are. I'm not kidding.
I know.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Well, cool, guys. Thank you guys for coming on. This has been fantastic, and I got a couple of actionable things which I wanted to get out of the show. I wanted to get some things that people could go either buy on Amazon right now, or rethink the way that they travel. Get away from carrying 3 bags, and waiting at the turnstile for your bag to hopefully pop out and didn't get lost at the baggage claim. Yeah, so avoiding all that stuff and enjoying your trip more. And I think there's lots of tangents in here where we talked about the ways that you can protect yourself, so that if you're traveling alone and you're leaving the room alone and you have some valuables in there, some things that you can do to kind of hopefully make sure that they're there when you get back. Also, when you're in strange areas, whether they're in your home country or abroad, just walk with purpose and act like you're supposed to be there, versus the mark that is easily robbed and taken advantage of, right? So, I found one of the cool ways. This is a nerdy thing right here. So, in honor of Apple releasing new hardware today, one of the cool ways that I found to not look like you don't belong in a certain place is the Apple Watch, right? Because it will, if you use Maps on your phone and ask it for walking directions. I do this in San Francisco all the time because I get lost there all the time. You'd say, I need walking directions from this place to that place. You can walk and it'll just tap you with a different pattern, whether you should turn left or right at the next intersection. So you just walk with authority and turn left and turn right, and then, you've arrived at your destination. So yeah, so cool stuff. All right, let's close this off. Jeff Cable, man, where should people go if they want to see some of your work or hire you for a workshop or subscribe to your blog, any of that stuff?
Everything's on the web, just jeffcable.com. So JEFFCABLE.com. And from there, you can get to, social media. It's just Jeff Cable Photography on Instagram and Facebook. And also the blog can be gotten to from that website. So that's kind of, and if people have questions, they can email me. Just jeff@jeffcable.com, and I'll answer every email. So
very cool. That's nice of you to do that. Thank you. All right. And Giulio Sciorio, what about you? If people want to connect with you, can they email you? Can they come by and visit and hang out under that cool fan?
Well, you can go to smallcamerabigpicture.com. You cannot access my private community yet. I will have other ways for people to join that, but an easier way to connect with me is just join TWiP Pro, which is like $5 a month, and we could talk. I'm not very active on social media right now. I deleted all my photos from Instagram, so I'm considering doing getting rid of social media altogether. So don't follow me on social.
Wow, I gotta say, that's the first time you're the first person that's ever said those words in that sequence on the show. Don't follow me on social, right? So wow, yeah, I like that. But follow me on TWiP Pro, right? So perfect.
Yeah, but this is a topic you should do, which is how where is social media going for photographers? Because I'll tell you what, if you asked 5 years ago, everybody was like Facebook, or whatever, and now it's like I think everybody's just kind of sick of social media to a certain point. And I know for me personally, having 50,000 followers on Facebook, but only 2,000 of them see anything because Facebook has decided that unless I pay, people don't see it. I mean, it's a challenge right now, and this is a hot topic.
It is.
That we
you hit it. You hit the nail exactly squarely on the head, and that is amongst other reasons, one of the main reasons why I started the TWiP Pro community, and that was because of all that nonsense that Zuckerberg and team throw up between you and the people who said they actually want to hear what you have to say. So, like you said, you've got 50,000 people on Facebook. and they're holding them hostage from you. So if you want to reach them, you got to pay up, you know, to reach those people. And even then, you're not sure if you reach them or not. So yeah, so we started TWiP Pro, which all that stuff goes away, and you type a message, everyone in the community will see it, you know.
Well, it sounds like Giulio started his for that reason. I started, the blog wasn't started for that reason, but I prefer that people, subscribe to the blog, because then they can actually get an email whenever I write a blog, which at least there's some control. It's really frustrating. Yeah. And I understand why you're deleting.
People got to understand that if you are on social media, you are the product. Okay, you are the product. That's why it's free. And then think, if you want to see, go to my Instagram, look at my account. I got no photos on there. Then think about, what would social media be without photography, right? Without photography, it would be nothing. I'm not talking, not even video, just without photography, it would be nothing. Photos are valuable, and we're giving it away for free with the exchange of a like or stupid emoji thumbs up. I mean, what the hell? Yeah. What the hell, man? Join something like TWiP Pro. Wait for a small camera, big picture to have its invite, which happens once a quarter, and join that and connect with photographers that care about what they're doing, that want to talk to each other and help each other, versus like people that are going to trash you because you have a slight angle to your photo or something ridiculous like that. You don't want to be around those people. Right. Those people, if seriously, if those people were like in a bar, there'd be like bar fights all day long. It'd be like Han Solo and and Greedo. It'd be like, dude.
Guido Sarducci. Guido Sarducci. Yeah.
All right, there's your next topic.
Yeah. What, Guido Sarducci? I think it was Italian, by the way, G.
No, not Sarducci.
Not Sarducci.
Was it Rosanna Dana?
Oh, Rosanna. Yeah. Well, cool, guys. Well, this is good. You're right. There's a whole nother show that we could do on social media, security, et cetera, et cetera. There's no shortage of show topics for This Week in Photo. Let me tell you. But for folks that are watching and listening and in the chat room, thank you for participating. And thanks to both of my awesome guests for coming on. If you want to stay up to date on all things This Week in Photo, just head over to thisweekinphoto.com. Or if you go to thisweekinphoto.com/subscribe, you can subscribe to this and our other shows, or just subscribe to us on YouTube, whatever your pleasure. We are there for you. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Google, we're all over the place. And one last time, I want to thank our sponsor for this episode of This Week in Photo, and that's our friends over or down at Bay Photo in the Santa Cruz, California area. Down there on Disc Drive is where their offices are. All right, folks, that's it for this episode of This Week in Photo. It is time to take that lens cap off.
This is TWiP.